'Tis the season for giving, and today I'm giving you trauma. That may sound dramatic, and maybe it is, but it really feels like the only way I can appropriately emphasize how weird this video is going to be. But before we do that, let me tell you a story in the form of a rhyme, to give you some hope before it is time, to take away your Christmas spirit, and give Santa Claus a not-so-jolly career hit. It was a night in December when Blue did remember that the month was almost done, yet his video wasn't. He didn't upload in the month before. Who knew being a YouTuber was such a chore? He panicked and clicked on his computer keys, hoping to find a video idea that would appease. Suddenly he found the Santa Claus wiki. "Ha!" he exclaimed. "This video won't be so tricky." He clicked on the link and read with delight, unaware of the approaching fright. Santa Claus and cocaine? That's just insane. Blue was thoroughly confused. Had this wiki been misused? Blue continued to scroll, thinking this may be a troll, unaware of the coming mental toll. Santa was a dictator, not abiding by the Department of Labor. The elves worked tirelessly, yet were not fed. Even Rudolph was taken out back to the shed. Jesus. Blue sat in his chair, praying to his maker. Was Santa that bad? He said with such dread. Everyone says he's so nice, but I've read this wiki twice, even thrice, and I can't see it here. I must spread the word, even if it brings fear. Blue began to write, record, and edit, hoping his video wouldn't be stolen and posted on Reddit. Thank you. That took me a whole day, and no, I did not lie in that rhyme. We will be talking about Santa Claus and drugs, as well as him being a dictator. So let's hurry up and get through the exposition so we can talk about the good stuff. Santa Claus, for those of you that don't know because you were just born or are an alien, is a mythical character in Western Christian culture that watches every single person in the world like a creep and uses his divine godlike powers to determine whether they are naughty or nice. If you are naughty, you get coal or simply nothing. But if you are nice, you get toys and candy. Or if you're an adult, you get disappointment. He makes these presents using his loyal workforce of elves and delivers them all with his magical sled and reindeer that can fly. Everyone knows Santa, so there was really no point explaining him any further. But there is a point explaining the real-life person Santa was based off of. Saint Nicholas was a real-life person during the Roman Empire. He devoted his entire life to Christianity and was mostly known for being very generous in giving gifts to the poor. Saint Nicholas would be remembered by giving gifts on December 5th or 6th on Saint Nicholas Day. Martin Luther, the priest, not the political activist, then attempted to propagate St. Nicholas Day to be moved to 24th and 25th, in an attempt to have people celebrate the children of Christ instead of the saints. So this did in fact work, but St. Nicholas kept being the essential face of the holiday and continued to be to this day in the form of Santa Claus. Since we just learned about the real person that inspired Santa, let's start with St. Nicholas's appearance in the DC Universe in Hellblazer issue 247, written by Andy Diggle and illustrated by Leonardo Manco. Look at this cover. Doesn't it scream Christmas spirit? So before I get into this book, let me preface this with two things. First of all, if you don't know who John Constantine is, the best way I could sum him up is he's the boy your conservative homophobic parents told you not to date. He's bisexual, drinks, does drugs, he's a powerful magician, kinda a dick, and worst of all, British. Second is that this is a DC Vertigo or just a Vertigo book. What this means is that the book is incredibly graphic and sometimes disturbing, which for you means funny content, but me, the person reading it, means that my mental stability will never be the same. So let's get into the actual book. It starts with John Constantine digging up the remains of St. Nicholas while also retelling the story of him in a much more thorough way than I did. He then needs to smuggle the bones into England, so he grinds them up into a fine powder. Of course, he gets stopped by airport security because he has, and I quote, "bring 6 bags of white powder in through clear plastic bags." John weasels his way out of this by saying it's bone meal and then he's growing tomatoes. Somehow that works, and the very next thing we see is John now snorting the bones. I can't show that, but enjoy this heavily censored image of it. Somehow snorting the bones connects him to this weird afterlife voodoo magic, and the story continues in Hellblazer issue 248, where he commits afterlife identity fraud and is surrounded by sex workers? We'll go with sex workers. The story then goes off and does its own thing, but it's not Christmas related, so who really cares? But weirdly enough, that's not all that DC has to offer about St. Nicholas the person, because despite getting his bones, inhaled, he's still alive, kind of. New Year's Evil was an anthology book for villains about and around Christmas, and there is a story called Black Adam: My Stocking, written by Ram V and penciled by Anthony Spay. Oh shit, it could be Ram 5 too. I don't know, I just say Ram V. The story has Black Adam ruling over his country of Kahndaq when he encounters a girl feeling sad. When he asked her what got her down, she explained the concept of Christmas and Santa Claus to Adam. The girl also talks about how Santa never comes to Kahndaq, which angers Black Adam, and he sets off to meet Santa. Adam goes all the way to the North Pole and uses magic to open up a wall of ice that reveals elves and yetis, I think. They're a little bit weird looking. Black Adam beats those up and then forcibly enters the secret home of the ancient Mira, the home of St. Nicholas the Person. There we see St. Nicholas, or as Adam refers to him, Claus, in red robes, ready to defend his city from Adam. Claus is then revealed to be a powerful wizard, but not powerful enough because Adam easily destroys him and tells Claus that he is to go to Kahndaq and give every child a gift and every stocking filled, and if Claus must, give Adam coal. That's a pretty nice story, but not because of Christmas, because of Black Adam's charitable beatdown. In the story, it is explicitly clear that Santa Claus exists and goes around the world delivering presents to every boy and girl except for the children of Kahndaq. This is further made clear by Black Adam being unfamiliar with Christmas and Santa. Could it be because Black Adam is ruling over the country and Santa just doesn't want to deliver to a country ruled by a villain? I mean, maybe, but it's kind of collective punishment, which is a war crime, and Santa isn't a war criminal. Actually, he might be, but that's for Matt Pat or someone to talk about, not me. So, given the information given through this comic, Santa just excludes these kids for seemingly no reason, which is just a dick move. So that was the story of the real-life St. Nicholas in the DC universe. But what about the Santa Claus? The actual mythical character? Well, Santa has appeared in various titles throughout the history of the DC universe, but nearly everyone that I have come across in my research for this video is either a dream, involving an unreliable narrator, or plainly just not canon. All of those stories feature a wholesome Santa Claus, the jolly and generous man with loyal reindeer and even more loyal elves. But we don't care about that one. One of these stories stands out above the rest. One of these has a Santa so dark, so disturbing, that snorting Santa's bones seems like a regular Christmas tradition that your entire family can do. This is Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special, written by Alan Grant and Keith Giffen, penciled and inked by Simon Pisley. This book is possibly one of the most dark books I have ever read. It even has a warning on the cover that doesn't even come close to covering what's in this book. It's full of words I will not say, images I will not show, and concepts I frankly do not want to comprehend. Hey there, Editing Blue here. I realized while editing this I should probably warn you guys about some of the sensitive topics that'll be coming up. So, if you're sensitive to any of the following topics, skip to this funny number on the screen right now. The topics are intense alcoholism, animal cruelty, mistreatment of workers, a sex closet, BDSM references, murder, sewer slide, and, of course, what every good Christmas story has, a child murder. So if you're sensitive to any of that, please skip to the number on the screen right now. This incredibly disturbing story starts with Lobo narrating it and a family arguing about Christmas since the father lost his job the day before Christmas. After arguing more, the parents find a book on their step and they start reading it. The book promises to fix their Christmas problems with a simple story. The story of the bounty hunter Lobo. Lobo goes to meet a client at the bar and finds out that his client was actually the Easter Bunny, but not just the Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny is simply a person, or I guess bunny in this case, that represents a larger group. He's also an alcoholic. Does not have any weight in the story, I just thought I should mention that one. The group wants Santa dead, and Lobo takes the job gladly. Lobo goes to the North Pole, and we see that it's a far cry from what we would assume it looked like. We also see elves are mistreated, underfed, and overworked. Lobo breaks into the North Pole and kills every single elf in a brutal sequence of images that I don't want to show and cannot show due to the terms of service on this site. Lobo then enters the throne room with Santa Claus, aka Chris Crusher Kringle in this universe, and we see that Chris also has a pet gorilla named Kong. Again, not important to the story, I just thought I should mention it. Chris and Lobo end up debating and end up deciding to have a one-on-one fight with shivs, where in a brutal sequence of images I still don't want to show and still can't show due to the terms of service. In the end, Lobo wins, and Santa is a pile of meat. After that, Lobo discovers Santa's sex closet. That's not an exaggeration, it's very clearly, maybe even too clearly, a sex closet. But of course, it doesn't stop there, because then Lobo turns the toy factory into a bomb factory and loads them onto Santa's sleigh. He goes to the reindeer and tells them they will pull the sleigh, and when Rudolph refuses, a gunshot can be heard. Lobo then goes around the world dropping bombs. Remember how the story started? With a family reading this book, supposedly based on true events? Well, I didn't, but it cuts back to them so entranced by the wonders of this book that they celebrate and say they're going to get rich. They turn to the final page where it reads, "Good for one read only," and the book disappears. The two are so disheartened by this that either one of two things happen. I will not say either of the options. I will simply show you this image for about 5 seconds and you can determine how exactly their Christmas problems are solved. With that final book, you've now heard brief explanations of 3 Dark Santa stories I came across in my research for this video. Do keep in mind that many of these may not reflect the current state of Santa Claus in the DC universe because there are ever-changing stories which do rewrites and retcons and even reboots. The first 2 examples in this video aren't even in the same universe technically, which also makes you realize that Saint Nicholas is a much nicer person in the universe where his bones get stored than the universe where he becomes a wizard. And the Lobo story is just that, a story told by Lobo. Even though he is very adamant about the authenticity of the story, we will never know if that truly did happen in the DC universe. But ultimately, that's not what this video is about. We aren't here to argue about canon and what happened and what didn't. And we aren't here to celebrate the Christmas spirit. God, no. We are here because I want to capitalize on the Christmas spirit with a clickbaity title and some fucked up stories. Happy holidays, everyone.